Was there any hands that went up then? Yeah? Oh, so awesome. 4 people. Excellent. Now, everyone else, I know that you're lying. Okay, who else is watching The Crown on Netflix? I didn't get any extra takers. Anyway, look, I'm aware that it's a work of fiction, right? But they've taken real events in the life of the royal family and added drama and enhanced it so that it's actually interesting for us to watch. And I'm pretty sure that the Queen isn't as cold as they're making her out to be in season 3 of The Crown. But there's one thing that stood out to me in this series, and I'm sure the creators of the show, they were probably trying to make this point to us. And it's this, that there's this disconnect sometimes between this life lived in the palace, right, for the royals and what's happening to or with all of their subjects, all of the regular common people. And you can see it as you watch this particular series, the difference, and they try to highlight it to us. In one scene, we see Queen Elizabeth II. She's reluctant to attend the town of Aberfan, where in 1996 a tragedy happened. And it's probably not appropriate to describe what happened here today in front of the kids, but it was a tragedy. And under pressure, the Queen makes her way to the town, and a week later after it all happened, to meet the survivors and all the town leaders. And there's this rather jarring scene where people are lined up who have lost loved ones, and the Queen has to come by and bring some comfort. And you can just see that there's this disconnect between the royal family and her people. In another scene, there's a young Prince Charles, the Prince of Wales, who is not actually from Wales, but was forced to go or encouraged to go and study there so that he would learn the language and the culture. And I'm not sure how much is Hollywood and how much is real, but there's the scene of the future king having to live with ordinary people. And it's interesting to watch. It is seen this time in Wales, if we're to believe the makers of The Crown, did Prince Charles the world of good. And he learned what it was to live with the daily struggles of family life and things that he himself hadn't had to experience. And he goes back into the palace after spending all this time there, and there's a scene of him walking in the front door and looking up at all the grandeur and realizing that he was different and that the people that he was serving were different. And you can see it on his face, there was a certain longing for what he would never have. There would always be this disconnect between the royal family and the people, whether he liked it or not. Now, I'm not trying to put down the royal family. I quite like them. They seem to be very nice people. But Charles had this longing to be in the ordinary, and yet he couldn't seem to bring it. He couldn't seem to connect like he really was yearning to. Well, today as we celebrate Christmas, we remember a king, the King of Kings. The royals have got nothing on the King of Kings, who gave up royal privileges to live in the ordinary. And he did it. He pulled it off. Philippians shows us how this works. In chapter 2 from verse 6, though he was God, he did not think of equality with God as something to cling to. Instead, he gave up his divine privileges. Now, just a note there, not his divine nature, but his privileges. He was now living on earth as a human, as a man. He took the humble position of a slave and was born as a human being. When he appeared in human form, he humbled himself in obedience to God and died a criminal's death on a cross. John 1 says this in verse 14, so the Word, which is Jesus, became human and made his home among us. He was full of unfailing love and faithfulness, and we have seen his glory, the glory of the Father's one and only Son. And we call this moment when God became human the incarnation, which is a fancy word to basically say that the divine was made flesh. This was something that miraculous that happened. It's the physical birth of Jesus to be here amongst us. That he came, Emmanuel literally means God with us. It's the moment when our king stepped out of the palace, so to speak, and chose to live with his people. And this is why I love the story about Christmas, about Jesus. For me, this is what Christmas is all about. It's the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, the creator of the universe, arriving and living in the most humble, the most ordinary family and location that he could have possibly chosen. And it was his choice to literally do that and be with us. He chose to be with us ordinary folk, to be like us ordinary folk. Isn't that amazing? It's something that Prince Charles and Queen Elizabeth II, God bless them, we love them, can't achieve. But Jesus did it, the King of Kings. He chose Mary and Joseph. They were so ordinary. They were very simple, humble people. He chose to be born in difficult circumstances. You know, he was chased out of his own country to live as a refugee child with his family. He lived his first 30 years doing daily routine. You know, he was part of the daily grind that we have to experience as well. And we know what that's like because it's the end of the year. And we're all kind of tired, aren't we? And glad that possibly we get a small break. I hope some of you do now. Because that day in, day out, daily grind of whatever it is we do, work or school or uni, it can be tiring. It can wear us out. Jesus understood that. He wasn't just in the palace with servants bringing him all of his food and whatever else that he needed. You know, he didn't wake up in bed with the newspaper just appearing in his lap and the bacon and eggs ready to go. He was part of the daily grind. We need to understand this. He would have been educated like most young Jewish boys. He probably would have been working 6 days a week, earning a wage, either in his family business or something else. He would have had to contribute to his family and to the community around him. He would have attended festivals and celebrations and weddings and funerals. He had brothers and sisters and cousins and aunts and uncles. He would have had friends that he went fishing with. I'm sure, I imagine. He would have experienced a lifestyle that today we would consider to be something like poverty, with a lack of material things. He lived under oppression and occupation from the Romans and had to live with all the difficulty that went with that. He had to travel long distances by foot. He had to rest and take time off like we do. He had to deal with people who completely rejected him and misunderstood him. There would have been family dramas. In fact, there's hints to that within the word. He lost friends to illness and disease. He lived through political upheaval and experienced injustice himself. He experienced personal betrayal. And of course, he experienced suffering beyond what most of us here will ever know. Jesus didn't strive to make his way up, the religious order. He didn't go grasping for power. He lived with us ordinary folk. He could easily just be here amongst us, just like us. And Christmas is a time to remind us that it's in the ordinary that we find our God. It's not in the extraordinary palaces and pomp and circumstance. It's in the ordinary that we find our God. Being human, we have this inward desire to find him in the extraordinary. We want to look for an experience, or we strive for our churches to be bigger and better, because maybe then we might encounter Jesus. Maybe if I went to the biggest and best Christian conference, then I might encounter Jesus. Now, all those things are good, but I'm saying today, actually, we find him now in the ordinary. All of those other good things can easily distract us because Jesus is here. I know that because that's what the Bible said. He came to be with us right here, just as we are, just as it is. Brother Lawrence, he has this famous saying. He says, God is in the pots and pans. I love that. In other words, the ordinary daily chore of just even washing up is where we can find Jesus, because that's what he came into. He's not waiting for us for a perfect worship service with perfect music or perfect buildings. Jesus is with us in the mundane, everyday grind and struggle of life. He's there with all of those things. You don't need an extraordinary experience to encounter Jesus. Instead, you need to press into what God has already given you because he is here now. Press into the ordinary people around us we love. Yeah, I'm saying it. The people around me are ordinary because I am too. But look for Jesus in the ordinary and the people around us. You know, we don't have to go and see, I love going to see special speakers and I do it myself, but we don't have to do that to find Jesus. He's there with the people around us. Press into the ordinary church you attend. Look for Jesus here. Rethink the ordinary small group you're part of. If you might think that that's just an ordinary small group, fantastic. Jesus loves the ordinary. I say it's in the ordinary places that we can set our roots down into Jesus. You know, as a pastor, I admit I can be tempted by the things around me and miss what God is doing right here, right now. Jesus, can I say this, is in the domestic. You know, you have to keep vacuuming and mowing and doing all those sorts of things. That's not a disconnect. You don't have to travel to another place to find him. He came to be with us. These are the means and the terms in which he chose to engage with you and me. That's the incarnation, church. Here's the problem. We don't see him in those things. We don't see him in the manner that he chose to be with us. We think, you know, he's still in the temple, that he's behind the Holy of Holies still. Almost like he's out of sight, out of mind, but he's not. He's with you on your camping trip. If you're going camping, I hope you get good weather. He's with you on that. He's with you in the stress of work. He's with you in the doctor's office when the report is not good. He's sitting around the table with you for dinner. He's at your barbecues and birthdays. He's with you when things don't go well at work, when your family goes through pain, when the bills are piling up, when your relationships are rocky, when you're trying to support your parents. Jesus came to be in the ordinary with us, but we miss it. We miss him. Verse 10 of John 1 says, and I didn't read this verse, but it says, but the world didn't recognize him. So my challenge to us today is let's stop and recognize Jesus in the ordinary. Can you see him today in your family? You know, just as you are. Can you see him today, you know, when you gather around that tree, if you haven't already? I know some of you are up at 5:30 around the tree already, and some of you are still to do that. But when you gather around that tree and you open gifts, see Jesus there as part of that. We don't have to exclude him from all these regular, ordinary things that we do. When you're sitting around that lunch table today with your family, he's there with you. There's a video, and I've shown it here before, so if you have seen it, I apologize, but I love it because it's set in modern-day Bethlehem. You know, Bethlehem is just south of Jerusalem. They pretty much, they touch, okay? And I love this short video because it helps us to get a sense of what it might have been like. It's modern day, but what it might have been like when Jesus came. Let's watch that together now.
I like this song very much. The net here not good.
Is that YouTube?
Yeah, this is YouTube. This is YouTube. Yes.
I graduate from Bethlehem University. I have BA at accounting. I like the sheep, but I need a job. The story of Jesus.
Yeah. Born at Bethlehem.
From this road, you can go to Bethlehem from this road.
This is Bethlehem. It's a small city, not big city. Near Bethlehem, we have big wall. Mary and Joseph, if he coming today, no way, because the big wall is close to Bethlehem. He want permit from Israel.
I come here every day at 1 o'clock a.m. to sell coffee and tea for the worker who cross to Jerusalem. In the back of me, there is the wall, 12 meters in the sky with 700 kilometers around Jerusalem.
It's very hard to come into Bethlehem because people think the Palestinian people are terrorists.
Bethlehem is the city that Jesus born in it. He come to tell the people about the meaning of the peace, the meaning of the love, the meaning of the life together.
The angel came to Maryam and told him that he is pregnant. Maryam do not like this because I do not have married. From where the baby? Their family and killed him.
The honor, they killing.
Honor killing.
Honor killing.
In our land, she must marry. It's shame for us.
If it's not be killed, they will be thrown from her home.
When she's pregnant and alone, it's her first time to have a baby. I imagine God help her.
She accepted his will, and she was ready to fight any obstacles. Yeah, she was a strong woman.
God is a king. And whatever circumstances we live, we have his identity and we give him our loyalty too. This is a water container. People would hide gold in these jars. Incense burner and frankincense means the priesthood. Jesus would carry our prayers and will carry us up to the Father. Without him, we cannot reach the Father. This is what myrrh been carried in, and myrrh is a sign for the sufferings that he would carry.
They expected to see a prince in a castle. They did not expect a baby born in poverty.
He's not rich. He's very poor. I know all this. God loves the poor people, rich people, all people.
He's a refugee. Jesus is a refugee.
They wanted to kill him. There was order to kill all the children of Bethlehem, newborns to 2 years old. That's why she flew to Egypt.
Jesus born refugee because God he wanted to teach us how. If Jesus born refugee, what about us? And he teach us about to give forgiveness and love.
They come from God to give him the message for peace. This is the important thing that the God is told to Isa to the people. Yes.
The Prince of Peace being born in the most troubled land on earth, it has like a significance maybe.
We need peace inside ourselves and we need peace all over the world.
We can feel the peace in our life because we have a hope.
Hope coming where we understand each other, and the hope coming where we understand God for our life.
I think Jesus knocking doors of the hearts of people. And he asked for anyone to open for him to start a new Christmas with him.
Isa is the principle of peace. Yes, Isa is the principle of peace.
I love seeing those Palestinian Christians talk about the birth of Jesus right there in Bethlehem and their ability to paint a picture of what it would have been like. And I just wanted you to get that sense today. We see Jesus in the ordinary. He frees us from our addiction of wanting to escape the ordinary. And he leads us into loving communion with God, which is exactly why he came in the first place. So I'm going to invite you today, commune with our Jesus as you go out into the world, as you leave here today. Invite him to be part of your discussions. Invite him to be part of your meals. He's with you everywhere you go.